Come to child's pose. Pressing your hips back toward your heels, gently pressing into your palms, resting your forehead on a block or the mat. And coming to your breath. Taking this time to go inside and just noticing what you're feeling, noticing if there's anything that you might be holding on to, just noticing. And taking one more breath here, reaching the fingertips a little bit more toward the front part of the mat, making this more of an active child's pose. And on your next inhale, gently lift your gaze looking toward your hands. Make your way into tabletop or hands and knees. Curling your toes under. Press into your palms, spreading through your fingertips. And start to lift the hips up toward the ceiling. Come into downward facing dog. Just take a few moments to walk your dog, alternating bending one knee, straightening the other. Come up high onto your toes, press your hips up toward the ceiling. Melt your heart down toward your feet, and on your exhale, start to lower the heels down with control. Taking one more breath here. And on your inhale, sweep your right leg up behind. And on your exhale, bend your knee toward your nose, step your foot in between your hands. Spin the left heel down so the outer edge of the foot is somewhat parallel to the back side of the mat. Line up the front heel with the back arch. And when you're ready, inhale your torso up, warrior two. Keep your right knee tracking toward your middle toes, hugging the outer thigh in, working the outer edge of the left foot into the mat. Sit a little bit deeper if you can. And on your exhale, cartwheel your hands down, frame the front foot, step back to plank. Pausing here, pulling your belly button toward your spine. And on your exhale, press your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Reaching the hips up toward the ceiling, melting your heart. Inhale your left leg up behind. Exhale, bend your knee toward your nose. Step your foot in between your hands. Spin the back heel down. Line up that front heel in the back arch. And inhale up to warrior two. Bending into your front knee, working the knee toward the center toes. Work the outer edge of the right foot into the mat. Hug the left outer thigh in. One more breath here in Virabhadrasana 2. On your exhale, cartwheel the hands down, frame the front foot, step back to plank, press your hips up and back, downward facing dog. On your next inhale, bend your knees, look forward, step toward the front part of the mat. Exhale, fold here, reaching the crown of the head down toward the mat. Put a bend in your knees so that your chest and your stomach can rest on the upper thighs. Bringing your fingertips in line with your toes, pausing here, releasing your head and your neck. On your inhale, start to straighten the legs if you'd like, maybe grabbing opposite elbows and coming into a dangle. Just making sure that your weight is in all four corners of the feet, the balls of the feet, the heels, and the sides. And then your exhale, release your hands down, root down through your feet, and inhale, sweep your arms out and up. And exhale, palms come down to heart center. Come to Tadasana, mountain pose. Pausing here, spread through your toes and work the balls of your feet and your heels into the mat. And just notice if maybe you're pushing your bum out or tucking it under. Try to find a nice neutral sacrum. And then where there's no tucking and no sticking out. A slight engagement through the lower abdominals. And just start to check in, noticing how you're feeling after that little bit of movement. Softening your shoulders down away from your ears. And taking one more breath here. And on your next inhale, sweep your arms out and up. Root down through your feet. Reach up. Create some space between the lungs and the torso, your belly. And on your exhale, fold forward. Inhale your heart forward. Exhale, fold. Step back to plank. Pause and plank for just a moment. Pulling your belly button toward your spine, scooping up in your hips. And on your next exhale, press your hips up and back. Come to downward facing dog. Inhale your right leg up behind. Exhale, bend the knee, step the foot in between your hands. Spin your back heel down and come up for warrior two. We've been here before, so just working the feet into the mat, hugging that outer right thigh in. And on your exhale, bring your right elbow to your right knee, left arm points up, come into side angle pose. Stay here or reach your left arm out over your ear, and maybe you bring your right hand down to a block or the mat. Extend at side angle. See if you can bend into your front knee so that you feel that stretch through the inner right thigh and the hamstring. Hugging the glutes in. Good. Inhale, come back to warrior two. Straighten through your front knee. Reach forward, and on your exhale, tip into Trikonasana triangle pose. Right hand can come to your shin, ankle, a block, or the mat. Left arm points up. Reach the arms in the opposite direction. Root down through your feet. Put a bend in that front knee. Come back to warrior two. Maybe sit a little bit deeper. And on your exhale, cartwheel your hands down, frame the front foot, step back to plank, and press back, downward facing dog. Inhale your left leg up behind. Exhale, step the foot in between the hands. Spin the back heel down and come up for warrior two. Working the left knee toward the center toes. On your exhale, left elbow comes to the left knee, right arm points up, side angle pose. Option to stay here or take it farther by reaching the right arm out over the ear, and maybe you bring your left hand down to a block or the mat. Root down through your feet. Inhale the torso back up, warrior two. Straighten through the front leg, reach forward, and on your exhale, tip into Trikonasana on the second side. Reaching the arms in the opposite direction, rooting down through your feet. Inhale, put a bend in that left knee, come back to warrior two. And then on your exhale, cartwheel your hands down to the inside of that left foot. Walk your left foot out so that your palms are underneath your shoulders. Come into lizard pose. So you can stay here or you can start to bend the elbows, working the torso down toward the mat. Maybe you come down to a forearm and a hand or both forearms, hugging that outer left thigh in. Inhale, walk the hands back underneath the shoulders, and then start to walk your hands toward the center of your mat. Pivot that right heel down, come into a wide angled forward fold, but bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Pausing here, pressing evenly into all four corners of the feet. You can stay here or bow the head, bending the elbows, and maybe bringing your hands in line with your toes. Your fingertips in line with your toes. Inhale, walking the hands back in line with the shoulders. Walk the hands toward the right foot, pivoting, picking up that left heel. Walk the right foot out to the right so that the palms are underneath your shoulders. Come into lizard pose on the second side. Stay here, or maybe you start to reach the torso down. Maybe you bring the forearms down. Breathing into the inner right thigh, the hamstring. Maybe you're feeling this in your left quadricep. Walk your hands back in line with your shoulders. Walk the hands toward the center of the mat. Parallel the feet. Turn your heels in. Toes will be slightly out. Hands come to your hips and inhale your torso up. On your exhale, bend your knees. So you might need to adjust your feet. You want to have your knees tracking toward your toes, and ideally the knees in line with the ankles. Good, goddess pose. So you can keep your hands at your hips, out to the sides, turn your palms to face up. Receive the good energy of the season, the changing of the season. Maybe you can sink your tailbone down a little more. One more breath here. On your exhale, bring your hands to your hips, straighten through your legs, and step toward the front part of the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up, and on your exhale, bring your hands down to heart center. Come back to Tadasana. So you can stay where you are. I'm going to turn to the side just so that you can see me. Step your feet a little bit more than outer hip distance apart. Turn your toes out. So your feet might be as wide as your mat if you stayed at the front of your mat. Keeping your hands at heart center. Start to bend the knees. Sit down. Now, if you have knee issues, you want to stay right here where your thighs are parallel to the floor. But if you don't have any knee issues and you want to come down for Malasana, you're going to sink your tailbone down. Bring your triceps, the outer part of the arms, to the inner knees. Pressing the palms together, pressing your triceps up against your inner knees up against the triceps. And just see if you can work your chest forward, lengthening through the upper back, lengthening through the entire spine. Good. One more breath here. And on your exhale, place your hands down on the mat. Start to straighten through your legs as you pick your hips up. Parallel your feet. Bring your hands to your hips. Put a little bend in the knees and inhale your torso up. Step your feet a little closer together. Maybe the big toes are touching. Heels are slightly apart. Inhale your arms up and bend your knees, sinking back into Utkatasana chair pose. So you're going to pause here. Work your tailbone down toward the mat, and then you can stay right here, working on grounding down through your feet, pulling the low belly in. Otherwise, lift your right heel. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you lift the leg and cross your right leg over your left. You can always stay here with eagle legs, otherwise open the arms out to the sides. And on your exhale, right arm comes underneath the left. Bring the backs of the hands to touch or wrap the palms. Sit a little deeper. Work your elbows up toward your shoulders so that they're even with your shoulders. Eagle pose. Garlandasana. Good. Inhale, straighten through the legs. Gently unwind. Reach the arms up. Exhale. Reach the arms up as you bend the knees on your inhale. Good. Option to stay here. Otherwise, shift the weight. Lift your left heel. Stay here or stack the leg over the right leg. Stay here or open the arms out to the sides. Left arm comes underneath the right. Take your hand placement, either backs of the hands are resting together or palms. Sit a little deeper. Lift those elbows up. Feel that opening through the upper back. Keeping the core pulled in nice and tight. Good. And gently unwind on your exhale. Sweep the arms up and then fold forward. And just come into a forward fold here. Good. Put a slight bend in your knees and then come all the way down to sitting. And bring the soles of your feet to touch. Hands can be back behind your hips, or you can grab onto your ankles or your toes. Sit up nice and tall, coming into bound angle pose, or Baddha Konasana. Pausing here, extending out through the crown of your head. Stay here, or on your exhale, gently use your arms to pull the torso forward. So as you come forward, if you feel any pulling on your low back, walk your heels a little bit farther away from your body. If you still feel it, then bring your torso upright. I'm just taking a few breaths here, releasing through the head, the neck, and just noticing if you're gritting your teeth, or maybe you're tensing up through your upper body. Try to relax it. Gently folding forward, folding in. And on your next inhale, lift your torso. Use your hands on the outsides of the knees to bring the knees up. Extend your feet out in front. And bend your right knee in toward your chest. Pausing here, sitting up nice and tall. Reach your right hand back behind. Inhale the left arm up. And on your exhale, bring the left elbow to the outside of the right knee, or cradle the knee with the crease, elbow crease. Gazing out to the side or over the back shoulder. And just coming into this sage twist variation. Inhale, bring your head back to the center, gently unwind, and let that right knee drop out to the side. Keeping your torso facing that left leg, inhale the arms up, pulling your belly button in, and on your exhale, fold forward. So think about folding in half rather than reaching forward. And just holding for a few breaths here. Breathing into the back of that left leg. You might even feel a slight stretch through the right side of the lower back. And you might not, and that's okay too. Inhale, bringing the torso up. Bring the right knee in. Extend the right leg. Bend the left knee in toward your chest, sitting up nice and tall. Left hand comes back behind you. Inhale your right arm up, and on your exhale, twist, hooking the right elbow to the outside of the left knee or hugging the knee with the elbow crease. Gazing to the side or out over the back shoulder. Continue to extend out through the crown of your head and gently twisting with each exhale. And inhale your head back to the center. Gently unwind, let that left knee drop out to the side. Inhale the right arm up. And exhale, folding forward. Pulling that belly button in as you fold. And you might notice that one side feels a little more flexible than the other. And that's perfectly normal, especially if you have any injuries or any tenderness. And just know that there's no judgment there. Just noticing any differences gives you something to focus on, work on. And on your inhale, gently lift the torso. Bring the left knee in, extend the legs. And then if you'd like, you can lower down and come into Shavasana. And just taking this time, the change of the seasons, to come into yourself and really focus on what you need and what you want. And thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.